Good evening. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you guys. I'm going to give just a moment here for a few people to hop on. I hope you've enjoyed your day. We just had some serious thunder roll through here, so I'm thinking we may be going to get some rain, which would be a good thing. I hope so. Anyway, I hope wherever you are that you're safe and that everything is going okay. All right, well, I am tonight. I hope you guys were able to follow us last week. Me and Chantel, we did the Thursday at noontime, and that's something I was experimenting with because I really would like to do my class during the day. So next week, I'm going to be changing Trading with Stony. This week will remain the same, but next week I will start being on Thursdays at noon, at 12 noon on Thursday, and they'll replay it at 8 o'clock that night. But I'm going to do the daytime because I've always wanted to sit out back on my porch and do my class. But at night, you know, I couldn't do that. So next week at on Thursdays at 12 o'clock, I'll be doing my class. And Stony will be on Tuesday nights at 8. Okay? So that's next week. But like I said, they'll be recorded where you can watch them at your convenience. But it will be 12 o'clock noon live next Thursday. Okay? This past Thursday, how did you guys, were you able to keep up with me and Shan, both sharing and talking? We love to sit and talk, and we have deep conversations. We have crazy conversations. You just never know what the occasion calls for. But I love sharing, me and her sharing our hearts with everybody. And I hope you did enjoy it. And we did have some people that asked us to do it again. So we're looking at maybe once a month, me and Chantel can do something together. So if you guys have any thoughts or questions or something you'd like to ask both of us about, just send them to me, message them to me, or text and let us know, and we'll do our best to address those things for you. We sort of try to follow what we feel like the Lord is sort of laying in our heart for that moment, because, you know, my prayer is He knows who's going to be watching, who will see this, and He knows what they need in their life. So that's always my prayer, is that God will speak through us, through me, and give the words to the people that, you know, what they're looking for, what they're seeking, where they're at, that He'll speak to them. And you know, now last week, me and Shan talked to you guys about it's springtime, it's a new season, it's planting time, planting your garden, and what? We said, yes, you plant those seeds of things that you need and want, but what happens? There's other stuff that comes in and grows there as well, things you didn't plant, and you've got to be mindful of that. You've got to watch that and pull the weeds out, you know, because you want the things that you've planted to grow and flourish and do well. And another point that I want to give you about that before I move on, the things that we plant, you know, I had mentioned that we plant the things, you know, that we need, that we plan to eat, or you plant certain flowers that you want to grow. But there's some things that we plant that are called annuals. They're only for a season. They're going to bloom or they're going to thrive for that one season, and that's all they were for. They're not made for long term. Then there's other things that we plant that are perennials. They will come back season after season after season. Often they multiply and grow with each season. So that's something to think about too as we're looking over the garden of our life. And remember, we shared how that garden pertains to our physical, mental, and spiritual being. It's not just one aspect, the things that we plant and grow. It's every area of our life, everything that pertains to us. So you've got to watch for those things that you didn't plant and that shouldn't be growing there, and you need to remove them. Simply, and we shared how we have the authority in God's word to bring our thoughts into subjection, and the words that we speak, we have the authority. We just have to use it. So watch over your garden, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Watch what's growing. Some things may need to be fertilized, may need to be watered. They may need some extra care so that they can pick up and start thriving. And some things, you may notice something that's not supposed to be growing there. I want you to, don't hesitate. Remove it right away. Okay? All right. Well, tonight, I'm thinking, you guys know in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, this is a very poetic book to me. And Solomon was writing in there. And I know you know these scriptures well, but I just for poetry's sake, I'm going to read it to you tonight, okay? It's Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. To everything there is a season. And as we shared last week, this is spring. This is a time to plant. It's a new season, new growth. And that sort of goes back to what I've been sharing with you since early February about the growth process that I've been in, the healing journey that I'm on. And I've been encouraging you guys to launch out on your own. Let this be a season where you go for it. You know, stop staying in that stale, stuck place that you've been. It's time to break out and go for it. Live the best life you can. I believe that there's people that God has let us connect on here that are at a place in life, a place on your journey, where your life is just going to be forever changed. It's never going to go back to what it used to be. There's new things before you. There's new things for you to learn, to explore, and to become. And this is the season to let it begin. You've decided that it's a time for you to finally be free. You've stopped trying to build or keep together a life that you were hoping everybody else would accept and be pleased with. Instead, you are now ready to embrace the life that God has in store for you. What your purpose was, what your purpose and your destiny is. You're ready for it. You're ready. That's where I'm at. I'm ready for that. I have been through the years of struggle, of pain, of trying to be something I wasn't. But God has just brought me through so much, and I have experienced healing in every area of my life, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And now I realize that nothing that has happened to me is anything that God cannot restore. And it's the same for you. There is nothing that you have been through that God can't restore. and use it to better you. But we have to remember that the first step in restoration is recognizing the power that we've always had to pull ourselves out of that darkness and keep pressing on to the light at the end of the tunnel. That power, that strength is in us. It's always been there. But we had to realize that we had it. God had to open our eyes to it, that we're capable of so much more than we think we are. But if we let God, He'll reveal to us that just the fullness of what we really can do and what we were destined to do, what our purpose is. I know some of you guys, just like me, you felt like quitting. You had days when you were unhappy with life. You were unhappy with yourself. Then you've had days when you were just unsure, uncertain. But I'm praying that you, like myself, have reached a place where the light just turned on. And I know that tomorrow is going to be a great day. Today is going to be a great day. I don't know. I can feel the fetters have fell off and I feel free. And that is what I'm praying for you to experience too. With the things that I've been sharing over this last, 6 weeks, I hope that you have found bits and pieces from my journey that is helping you with your journey to wholeness, to being everything that you can be. I really do. I pray that God is making that transformation for you as well as He's doing it for me. That's part of the reason why I share what I do share. I had to become completely transparent, and I shared things with you guys back in early February that I had never shared with anybody. But that was part of my healing journey. That was part of the things I needed to do to heal and to move on. And I hope you guys have done that. I hope there's those of you that are with me, that you've experienced that and you've made those strides in your life. Sometimes we beat ourselves up that we're not perfect. Or I have this issue, I have that issue. I found something, it was so cute. And I know you may have seen this, but I'm just going to read you a little short thing here of talking about people that aren't perfect, and thinking that since I'm not perfect, God can't use me, or there's no purpose for me in God's kingdom, in God's plan. Let me remind you of some things, okay? Elijah was suicidal at one point. Job had even said he wished he'd never been born. David was depressed. Moses was anxious. Hannah was barren. Paul was in prison. Jacob was a cheater. Peter had a bad temper. David had an affair. Noah got drunk. Jonah ran away from what God was telling him to go do. Paul was a murderer. Gideon was very insecure. Miriam had a gossiping problem. Martha had a nerve problem. Thomas was a doubter. Sarah was impatient. Moses had a speech impediment. Zacchaeus was short. He was little. Abraham was old. And Lazarus was dead. But guess what? God used every one of them. Every one of them had a place in God's story and God's word that's for us to learn by and grow by. So maybe there are issues in your life. Maybe there are things that you battle and face. But what is it that God can't use, that God can't fix? You just heard the list that I read of people. Definitely things that you might not choose. I don't know. Some may prefer to be short. I am in the short group of people in this world, and I'm okay with it. But we're not perfect, and we don't have to be. I want you guys to know that. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to be used. Let God use you. Let God use that imperfection. Lord knows that that is with me, because I do have a tendency through life to be a perfectionist. I like things done. I'm very detailed. I like things done. Well, I don't want to say perfect, but I do like that. But I, at the same time, realize I am very, very far from being perfect. Very far from it. And I spent the majority of my life thinking, God can't use me because I'm not perfect. I need to improve on this, or I need to improve in that area before God can use me. I used to have, I wanted to help people with their health and with weight issues because I had battled that for so much of my life. And I remember going to Stoney and telling him that I'd like to teach a class on that. And, yeah, okay, well, that's great. Until I looked in the mirror and I'm like, Brenda, how can you help someone else when you haven't helped yourself? So that stopped me. At that point in time, that stopped me dead in my tracks. I'm like, nope, I can't do it. I've got to get some things right. Little did I know, because God's timing isn't our timing. That is where God has me now. I have been on a health journey to where I have finally been able to change my thought patterns and arrive at a much healthier place, both physically with my weight and in every physical area, but also mentally and spiritually. Now I know I don't have to be perfect. That is not what God is looking for. He's not looking for our perfection, because our perfection will never, never truly be perfection. What we view as perfect will never be perfect. But that's not what God's looking for. I think God is looking for a genuine heart. I think he's looking for a willingness to say, God, this is all I have, but I want to give it to you. Like the little boy with his fish and loaves of bread. What he had wasn't really enough to feed all of those people, to meet the need of all those people. But when God took what he had and blessed it, it was more than enough. So what we have, as broken and scarred as it might appear on the outside, it's more than enough when we surrender it to God and let him use it for his purpose. And that's what I'm praying, that with myself sharing the things that I've been through, sharing my imperfections, my insecurities, I hope that sharing those things will help you to find your courage and find the strength to say yes to what God is wanting you to do. Because that's our purpose, is to surrender to him and let him use us for what we were born for, what he created us for. He tells us in his word that before we were even formed in our mother's womb, he knew us. He knew our purpose. He knew what our personality would be. He knew us. But yet he loved us in spite of our imperfections. And we need to realize that. You need to realize that. There's somebody that's listening to me right now that all you do is negative talk to yourself. Everything you say to yourself is negative. It's hurtful. And you need to stop. You need to stop. And you need to learn to love yourself. Be kind to yourself. Speak encouraging words to yourself. Speak them out loud. Say something kind to yourself. To love others, you've got to love yourself. That reminds me of how, you'd see people that when they come up to church, they walk in the church doors, everything's all sweet and honey dripping off their words and lovey-dovey, and the kids are wonderful, and but yet the whole ride to church, they were hollering and screaming at each other and hollering at the kids. You know, everything was rough. Don't live in that mold. Don't live in that. You know, and it starts with how you treat yourself. Be kind to yourself. Speak words of love to yourself, just like you'll say them to another person. You know, that's where you've got to be real with yourself in your thoughts. What do you say? What are you thinking to yourself? What are you saying to yourself? Do you ever encourage yourself? Or is it all negative? That is really something you need to think about and ask yourself, because it determines so much about what you become. It determines how your day is going to go. It determines how much courage you'll have to step out and do new things. Are you telling yourself you can't do that? No. If you fail, you'll look stupid. No, you better not. You better not. Is that the way you're talking to yourself? You know, or like my daughter, she says you can be a why person or you can be a why not person. I'm a why not person. I'm going to be like, well, I know people say that might be not be a wise decision, or you might not be able to do it. But I'm like, hey, why not? I'll never know if I don't try. You know? And I want to encourage you guys to do that. There may be something that you've been sitting on or thinking about, or maybe God sort of put this thought in you, something that, you know, you want to try to do, but you're afraid that maybe you're saying excuses like, I need more experience, or I don't have enough this or that to do it. Why? What are you waiting on? Why not? Go ahead. Just take that leap and just do it. You know, because we're not promised that we're going to have next month, next year, or even tomorrow. Live like that, okay? Live like tomorrow may not come. If tomorrow wasn't going to come, what would be some things you'd be scrambling, trying to hurry up and do tonight? Think about that. That's a real quick way of things getting in the right order, of what really, really matters and what doesn't matter, and what is just a waste of time. And some of that stuff, things that you used to think you needed in life, you need to do a reassessment now and just look at, do you still need those things? Or even do you still want those things? Because it's a new season. You're in a new place. And that's going to require some changing, some new stuff. You don't wear your winter clothes in the summer, do you? No, it's a new season. Put those sweatshirts and turtlenecks away. It's summertime. Let's break out the summer clothes so we can do summer things. Do the things that God has for you in that season. Well, listen, I want you guys to remember what I said, that next week we'll be switching schedules. Stoney will be doing Tuesday nights, and I will be on Thursdays, and I'm going to be recording live at noon on my back porch. I invite you to join me. And they will replay it that night at 8 for those, but I just want to bring in some sunshine. I want to get out there with my plants and the birds and invite you to come sit with me and enjoy that too. Okay? Well, I'm going to let you go tonight. I hope you've grasped what I was encouraging you with tonight, that it's a new season. God may be laying some new things in your heart to do. Don't be afraid to do them. Okay? Don't be afraid to take that step and do what God's leading you to do. Okay? Well, I love you. God bless you. And next week, I hope to hear some praise reports from you guys of some steps you've taken and some things you've done, some changes that you've made since we started back in February. I want to hear some more. I've heard some, but I want to hear some more praise reports of some changes that you've made and have went through. Share it with me, okay? And if there's something that you wouldn't mind me sharing with others, let me know, and I'll be glad to share that. But anyway, for tonight, I want to say I love you, and thank you for sharing this time with me. And I pray that you'll be blessed, and I'll see you next Thursday on the back porch, okay? Love y'all. Bye-bye.